Hey everybody, welcome back to Zone 4. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzo Goose, back with you for a comic review. The reason I'm reviewing this over here is because somebody has already reviewed it on Comic Frontline, and I really wanted to get my thoughts out on this. We didn't have the live show this week on Comic Frontline, and we have a guest on Zone 4 this week, so I really wanted to talk about this issue before all the buzz wore off on it. But I'm talking about the Multiversity #1. This is written by Grant Morrison with art by Ivan Reis and Joe Prado, colors by Nerafino, I believe. This is a Cosmic Neighborhood Watch is the subtitle on the cover of the book, and this is Grant Morrison's kind of DC multiverse opus. This is a series that's been in the works for 8 years. They've been trying to get this together. There are seeds planted through other things like Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis and all that stuff. I know this is one of those polarizing books. Most of the people on Comic Frontline, they weren't crazy about it. They thought it had too much going on, was throwing too much at the readers. I know a lot of people have been raving about this book. Personally, let me put this up front, and you guys know me, so you already know this probably, but I'm not a huge Grant Morrison fan. I don't get his stuff. I don't get the enjoyment in a lot of his stuff. There are books, I'm not totally against the guy writing them off and everything. There are things that I do enjoy. I liked his Batman and Robin run, pre-New 52. I thought All-Star Superman was okay, not nearly as great as everybody else thought it was. And there's been, various other little things here and there, issues, whatever, that I've, really enjoyed that he's done. So it's not like, if Grant Morrison wrote it, I hate it. It's just usually the case, and that started with New X-Men for me. But anyway, this book, I actually really, really enjoyed. I found myself surprised how much I liked this book. So basically, the concept is there's this evil threat to the entire multiverse, all of creation, called the Gentry. And the last surviving monitor, Nix Uoten, or Uoten, I don't know how to pronounce that. But he finds the clues to the existence of these villains via a comic book. This comic book is, he's just reading it and he finds clues, and as we start reading the comic, it's like we're reading that same comic, and this comic is speaking to us. He's showing us, Morrison is kind of illustrating what is going on to the characters to us, because as we read this comic, it's telling us, do not read this, or whatever. So it's very interesting the way it works out. But it opens up with this bug infestation, which we don't know where that's going. That's not addressed again. It's the opening page. We know it's heading somewhere, but we just don't know what it is yet. But obviously that's going to play into things later on. Then we get Nix Uoten, and he's having a chat and talking about this latest issue, and he is actually reading the same page that we just read, and looking at it and kind of dissecting it and talking about doing a comic review. But then he starts seeing the clues and decides he has to grab his pirate buddy, who's a monkey, Mr. Stubbs, and head off into the multiverse. But I'm just going to read one little exchange of the narration captions. You think this is just a comic book, but it's bait. You're bait for them. Do we have your complete attention yet? Whose voice is this speaking in your head anyway? Yours? And it's that kind of thing. It's like it's speaking to you, and you're supposed to be immersed in the experience like that because you are, embracing that same kind of comic and understanding that, because this is a theme that runs here. You understand that these comics and this issue are kind of leading and guiding the characters in the story, and also you at the same time. And let me say this for everybody: this is not unprecedented. This is a concept visited way back in the '60s in Flash of Two Worlds, I think it was, or it was a previous Flash story. I don't remember exactly, but the concept of, and this is something else that's played with in this issue, the concept of, on one Earth, the comic books of that Earth, those superheroes in the comic books of, let's say, on Earth Zero, which is where the current New 52 DCU is, So let's say the comic heroes in their comic books, they actually exist, like for example, on Earth 2, and vice versa, and that kind of thing. And that's the way it's played. Back in the 60s, it was like the Justice Society's world. Their comics featured the heroes of the Justice League world, and vice versa. So that's played with over and over again in this. And Morrison, reason it took 8 years to bring this, because he poured over all this history and pulled things left and right from all these different storylines. I actually wrote an article on comicrelated.com if you want to check it out, kind of showing you a guide all the way from the 60s up to the present, what he's pulling from, and different things that are revisited in this issue and in this series as a whole, and it's really interesting. But getting back to the concept of this book, Nick Wilton, he's going to the multiverse, he discovers the Gentry, so he decides he needs to call heroes. So he decides he's going to pull a hero from each of the 52 worlds. Now, as we found out at San Diego Comic-Con, there is a new map of the multiverse, which Grant Morrison put together. And there's a DC All Access video, which is in the article I wrote on Comic Related, showing exactly what's on that map. But the interesting thing is there's only like 4 Earths that we know the details of. We know Earth 2, Earth 0, and a couple of others. All these other Earths are unrevealed yet. Interesting thing is, and some of them are going to be like they were in Pre-New 52. Interesting thing is, Earth 1 has not been revealed yet. Earth 1 was the Pre-New 52 DCU Earth. Now, if that's going to remain the same, we don't know, but it's very interesting to think about. So anyway, he pulls all these heroes from all these different worlds, and they're brought to a central place, which is in between the universes, or in between the multiverse. And it's like the Monitor's watchtower. And it's also interesting, Morrison plays with music here too, and this is not unprecedented either. This was used in past books and series and stuff too. But the ship that the Monitor rides on is made of solid music, and you have to play notes to make it move. And it's an interesting concept. It's out there. But it's out there in a good way, and it's not so. In my opinion, it's not so convoluted that you can't follow it and you don't understand what's going on. It's just like you're getting thrown, okay, this ties into music, okay, this involves comic books in an interesting way, and it involves the multiverse. But the core concept of this issue and this series is a bunch of heroes from all the 52 worlds coming together, uniting to face a single threat. That's it. That is your concept. But the implications of that concept, with all the crossing between the worlds, is what makes this interesting and makes it epic and makes you want to know what's going to happen, because you feel like this is a game changer. This is going to do something. It's not just going to be a series that is here and goes away. You know, we get reintroduced to characters like Captain Carrot in this. The presidential Superman that was first introduced, I think it was in Final Crisis, and recently appeared in Action Comics. You get Marvel Comics analogs. They call them major comics in this, but they're definitely analogs of the Avengers characters. Namely Thunderer, who is an African American version of Thor, and there's a Captain America like character, there's an Iron Man character, and so on and so forth. But this all starts on the Marvel Comics type world, where it's Earth 7, where Thunderer is the last standing of all the heroes, and that's where Nick Wilton starts his thing, and he gets trapped there and has to pull all these heroes together. So throughout this, we see these heroes pulled into this watchtower, and they start popping around, and it's interesting because it's an eclectic cast of characters that we kind of know but really don't. Like, there's an Aqua Woman instead of Aquaman from one world, and there's a little chibi like Wonder Woman and Steel from one world. There's a Flashlight character, but that's not his name, and he's not Barry Allen. Him and Green Lantern. There's a Swamp Thing. There's the Thunderer character, the Superman character, and so on and so forth. Harbinger comes back in this, and it's just really cool. It's a really neat take, and we're getting familiar characters in a new way. and they fight this like Doctor Doom like analog character and stuff, and it's just it's really cool. I really enjoyed this series, but you know, as it ends, we get this shocker, and it kind of sets things in motion. So now that we've gotten all this stuff going on, we get introduced to the core concept and all these characters. Now we're going to have 6 one-shots, and each one of these one-shots takes place on a different Earth in the multiverse. And after that, after those 6 issues, then we get, I guess it's going to be the Multiversity number 2, which is the bookend, the wrap-up, to tie this all in together. And so, you know, I think we're getting one of these each month. So over the next 7 months, we're going to follow this story and see these heroes traveling through these worlds and find out where it takes us. I think the next one is Earth 20, which is a pulpy type world. So it's I don't know. I don't get the maybe not the confusion over it, but the distaste, the dislike for it. I thought it was a fantastic issue. I love it. I want to read the next issue right now. I want to know what happens. I'm pulled totally into this story. I love the concepts played with here. And, you know, the art is fantastic. Ivan Reis is one of my favorite artists. Grant Morrison has really won me over with his out-of-the-box thinking with this particular title. And I can't recommend it enough. Was it absolutely perfect? No. Was there a lot going on? Yeah. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. But it is definitely a high score, and it was definitely my book of the week. So, there you have it. That is my review for The Multiversity, number 1 by Grant Morrison, Ivan Reis, Joe Prado, and Nehru Fino. So, check out Comic Frontline, because I don't do a lot of reviews here. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly to do with this channel since Zone 4 is over on Comic Frontline and comic related. So, stay tuned. I will figure out what to do with this channel eventually, and maybe I'll do more reviews, maybe I'll toss some extra Zone 4 stuff up, but we'll just see. But thanks for checking out the review. Leave a comment below, let me know what you thought of it, and go check out Comic Frontline and all the other reviews and their review of The Multiversity as well. Check us out on the live show next week. It will be returning, and check out Zone 4 this week. We're going to have Dirk Manning back on to talk about the Tales of Mystery Carmageddon. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.